It's that time again. ScrawlrBox. Welcome back, guys. Let's see what we got this month. All right. Ooh, got a little package. This seems interesting. Okay. So we got specialty sticker. A little index here. Let's see. Got a lot of stuff going on in the November box. Ooh. It seems we get some gouache this time around. The Lyra Rowney Aquafine gouache, and ScrawlrBox even has its own little logo put on here. Yeah, seems like there's 6 in here. There he goes. Alright, it seems we got all the primaries, and then we have kind of a skin tone, and then black and white. Let's see, this one's rose portrait, portrait pink, cardium yellow deep hue, alizarian crimson hue, cobalt blue hue, ivory black, titanium white. All right, all those guys. Candy. See what we got here. The Lyra Robertson 3B pencil. Got a little red tip, but it's not red. Hi, kitty. Yeah. Okay. Then we have this little guy. He's the Hume Natural Eraser. Interesting. This little guy. It's a paintbrush. Okay. Oh, it's got a weird little tip. Let me read the description and figure this one out. Okay, the Royal Talens Van Gogh 191 series brush. Round brush. The fine tip, detail. Okay. I guess that's like for paint, because like it has it in the picture like that. So I guess it's probably to let the brush breathe or something. So it doesn't get that mold. Yeah, because it's completely see-through. There we go. I guess to let the brush breathe or something. Who knows? Either way, cool little travel brush. And then we have our artist of the month. She will be in the description below. Riso John. That's cool. Okay, and then we have our 2 sheets of paper. Bockingford CB watercolor paper, 220 GSM. Always love it when there's 2. And that's it. Okay, and this month's challenge is Face of Emotion. Interesting. All right, let's get started. Okie dokie. So, the prompt was Face of Emotion. So first things first, as always, swatch everything out, see how it works, and so forth and so on. I did a few pencil lines, erased them, well, not erased all of them, but some of them, just so I could see how opaque everything was. You know, it's always important to test your materials. You know, does the pencil run if I leave it on there? Like, can I still see the pencil if I paint over it? Is that something I want? Is that something I need to consider? And so forth and so on. And as always, always important to test and swatch. Anyways, it did take me a minute to decide, like, what emotion I wanted to draw, because, you know, it's like, pick an emotion, just, you know, and it's like, but there's so many. And I ended up going with, you know, kind of a silent scream in a way. I always think like the most impactful emotions are the ones that seem quiet, but, you know, affect you more loudly, I guess. Yeah, I definitely struggle with depression, yay. But you know, you have your good days, you have your bad days, and you know, sometimes it just kind of blankets over you, and you know, it's not this epic breakdown, but kind of like a slow fall. Yeah, and I could relate to that emotion. And you know, I felt like it was the one I wanted to go with at the time, just because that's kind of the headspace I was in. And so I ended up going with this one, and you know, I just focused on the face, you know, got a bit of a neck, just because, you know, I always think like a little bit of neck, a little shoulders, always are like, it's a better crop than just the face. But anyways, and you know, I love the colors they provided. I'm always happy when you get all the primaries, you know, and then it's like a bonus awesomeness when there's a black and a white, because then you can really get the full spectrum of colors. And I was like, you know what? Instead of playing with the gouache and trying to get a skin tone, I was like, I'm just go ahead and use this. You know, it was kind of like, didn't really need to add it. It was kind of like, it just makes it a little easier, because, man, I remember mixing skin tones in high school, and it was so hard. It's like, you know, it just has to be this balance between red, blue, and yellow, because that's how you make brown, is with all three primaries. And it can be a struggle. So I was like, no, let's make this a little easier, because it already took me like a couple days to do this, you know, at start and then stop. You know, you're gonna see a lot of different sleeve changes and probably zoom ins for me, just because I would forget how I set it up the previous day. Because yeah. Anyways, the eraser was cute and tiny. You know, no comments there. The pencil was a pencil. You know, didn't have any problems with the lead breaking or anything. Erased pretty well. Yeah, got the sketch done first. You know, I did like a little sketch, because like at first I wasn't sure what the emotion was. So like on the side, I kind of had a ruscus. I wish I had mixed the colors. I forgot to do that on my swatch. Play with the colors, and I wish I had did like a little color palette test on my little sketch. I remembered to sketch out my idea, so I wouldn't forget it, you know, the face I wanted to go for, but then I totally forgot. Like, I shouldn't just be like, oh, I see the colors in my head, that works, right? Because, you know, that doesn't mean the materials agree with your brain. So that was a struggle later on. You know, it's like, oh, I know what colors I'm going to use for what area, but then when I was like trying to plan out, you know, well, when I was trying to put down the like splashes of colors you see on it later, that was a struggle, because I didn't really put much forethought into it. I was just like, I'm gonna put splashes of color, but then I realized that these colors are kind of hard to mix. You know, you can't just put a little yellow, a little blue, you get a nice green, because at first I got a brown, and then I got kind of a muddled green, still not the green I wanted, but that's why it's always important to foreplan. Anyway, always important to plan. And I had attempted that, but it didn't really work out. I hopefully, you know, I have gotten better at planning, at playing with the materials a little, but I could still do better. And then I didn't have a palette. I have a palette for my acrylics, but the thing's covered in acrylic, and I didn't really want to see what would happen. Because I didn't want the piece to suffer from me having a little too much fun experimenting. So I just used the cover to my pencil case, you know, metal, clean, you know, just rinse it off later. So I did that. And I tried to do kind of like color blocking with it and just do like a really translucent, you know, skin tone, a translucent like hair, just so that I had those down. I kind of left it to dry for a bit because I noticed that the paper started to buckle. I was like, I guess I'm using a little too much, what's it called? Water. And I was just kind of like, oops. I mean, the watercolor, it is watercolor paper. You know, it says it on here, but it's only 220 GSM, and maybe that's why it couldn't, because it says it's highly absorbent. And yeah, it absorbed, but it also buckled. And that's just not something I want personally from my watercolors. That's just not something I'm into watercolor wise. And I just kind of, you know, whenever I had to leave it to dry, because I did the color swatches and then I let it dry, and then I, you know, defined her face a bit more and her hair, and then I let that dry, and then I did the colors on top and a few finer details on top, because just because the way the water was reacting, I didn't want to like just keep adding more water. I wanted to be patient with it, you know, because sometimes some products and medias require you to be patient with them, and they can offer you, you know, what they're supposed to do the job, but you have to be patient with them. And I wouldn't probably use this one again. I mean, I'm happy that it uses high alfalfa cellulose, you know, that's nice, but it buckled. That's just not a winning feature for me. But you know, it's only 220 GSM. Usually you need a little higher than that to not have that effect. So I'm glad I taped it down. Usually I try not to like use anything that didn't come in the box, but I'm trying to be nicer to myself. Like, hey, you know, the whole point of this box is to have fun. So it's okay if I use tools. You know, I try not to use any outside medium. You know, I'm letting myself, you know, have this nice little structure so that I can have more fun with the materials themselves. So I went ahead and taped it down, and I really like the borders that they offer when you tape it down. So I just taped it down a little, and you know, just so it would just have a nice border. But then in the end it buckled a lot, so I'm really glad that I taped it down, because then it may have ended up turning into a scrunchie just because it was crinkling everywhere. But the brush drove me insane. At first I was doing fine with it. Decent round brush, right? But then it kept popping off, and at one point towards the end, it fell even in my water, and I was just like, I haven't fished that out. So I'm probably never gonna use this brush again. I mean, like the bristles itself wasn't too bad, but it just kept falling. It just kept dropping, and I was just like, okay, this is not what I need from a brush. You know, this is definitely not what I was going for brush wise, and it just kind of drove me slowly insane. Because like I was just, yeah. So, yeah. Definitely like the gouache though. You know, I have hardly used gouache. I do love watercolor, but I've hardly used gouache. Just cause it's kind of It's just really opaque, and you know, I struggle with trying to stay in my lane as it is with painting. But you know, I want to branch out, especially since I've started following an artist that uses gouache primarily, and I really like it, and it kind of helps me be more like comfortable with it. So definitely like the gouache. Yeah, I tried building up layers like I see people do, and try to meld all the contours that I was adding so that it's more of a smooth finish. Try to add like a little bit of line work. The brush wasn't too bad with that. I just kind of suck at it because I'm not used to doing line work with a brush. But I do want to practice that, and I know you need detailing brushes for that, so it wasn't too bad when I needed to add just a few little lines. Yeah, and I definitely look forward to playing around with this gouache a bit more. Yeah, and I kind of struggle because you'll see like I do a sort of a dripping effect on the skin with the hair just because I want it to be kind of abstract-y a little. Just make a bit of a mess because you can just be sitting there and you're just so confused and your emotions are so muddled. You're just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know how I feel. You know, you're not crying, you're not smiling or anything. You're just kind of just lost in your emotions. And I kind of just wanted to have that, you know, she has this calm face, but she's crying and, you know, there's a bit of strain on it. And I just wanted like a bunch of colors and mess just to kind of show like the internal turmoil of it all. You know, getting all deep and dark over here. But yeah, you know, just trying to convey emotion, all that sweet jazz. I liked how she came out in the end. You know, she's a little rough around the edges, but not too bad overall. You know, just gotta practice with gouache, and I'm excited that I got gouache in the box. You know, now I get to play with that more, and that's pretty exciting. I mostly just haven't used wash just because, you know, I love palettes that are, you know, watercolor palettes that are in travel cases, because then, you know, it's easier to put them away, it's easier to clean up, you know, there's less prep work involved. You know, I don't have to pull out tubes and put them in a palette and all that jazz. So I guess you could say it's a bit of laziness on the side there, but definitely excited to try. You know, I left the paints on the palette and they dried rock hard. You know, part of my brain was like, don't forget to cover that. And then I was like, totally forgot. But, you know, oh well. You know, the great thing about having these paints, you know, it's like I just met them. I just know them. You know, I don't have to be heartbroken that I messed them up. You know, that I wasted a little bit, you know, because, you know, you can still reactivate it. It's just harder to get those opaque effects from it, which, you know, happens. But yeah, I definitely struggle with that dripping effect. I see it's coming up again, and I'm just like, you know, I was banging it. I was like adding more and more water, and it was like not giving me anything in return. But in the end, I was semi-victorious because I was like, you're going to drip even if I have to make you drip. And I tried very hard to make it drip. So hard. My poor little tracing board, just beating it because I was just like, move some way, somehow. But anyways, you know, I think my lighting's getting slightly better. You know, it's kind of hard to see something 3D mentally for me and trying to figure out the light source for it, which is why I'm trying to get more into references. And, you know, and through references, I'm able to look at something now and not really have to visualize it mentally, because I can just see like, oh, the lighting's coming over there, then it's gonna hit there, you know. And even though I have low visual imagery, about a 3 or 4, you know, it's not like it's not there. It's just hard. It's kind of blurry. It's like I'm not wearing my glasses and my vision is way worse than it actually is. And then it's hard to hold on to it, you know. So like if I look at something else, then it's kind of hard to focus and hold that image in my head. You know, oh well. But, you know, the more I use references, the more I can look at something and just know. And, you know, there's always workarounds. There's always ways to try and get what you want. You know, if you love something, you're gonna, you know, okay, this isn't working. What else can I try? What else might work? And that's always the important part, is you keep trying. And that's the great thing about the ScrawlrBoxes, is that they give you all these materials. And, you know, I love it when the little art piece has artist tips, you know, like the feature artist, you know, recommends how to use this material and media and how to get the best results from it. And I think that's something really great to consider, something really great to to know. You know, watch other artists, look at references, take classes on Skillshare. Do, you know, boxes that give you these materials that you don't know about or wouldn't have thought of, you know, to try. And it's always, you know, pushing boundaries, trying new things, and just trying to be comfortable with the unknown and doing things that, you know, for the first time. Anywho, was definitely a lot of mixing, and then see, it fell. The frustration of it dropped eventually, like towards the end when I'm just adding the colors on top. I'm like, nope. And I just give up on the back end of it and just use the brush itself, because I'm like, okay, if I drop this one more time, I may murder this brush, and I need this brush to finish. So yeah, lots of fun there. Lots of fun. Not that this box was terrible or anything. I always love ScrawlrBox. I get a bit of candy. I get such a great like collection of stuff. So even though I didn't like the box, didn't feel the paper, you know, that's fine, you know, because, you know, I did like the gouache. I did get to try something new, and, you know, I realized what I like from a product, what I don't like from a product. You know, I like, you know, using a lot of water, so I like having paper that, you know, doesn't buckle under the amount of water I use, you know. So, you know, it just lets me know, like, hey, what if I'm gonna, you know, buy paper in the future, make sure I go with a higher GSM, or, you know, it's a paper that I know can handle, like, me just basically dumping water on it. And, you know, just I'm just kind of rambling now, but yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Another ScrawlrBox down. And so closer to catching up before the January box comes in. Now I just have to do the December box before the January box comes in, and then I'm all set. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, it was fun to watch and listen to me ramble, and I hope you guys like my, you know, what I drew for the prompt, Face of Emotion, and you know, it wasn't too bad in the end, you know. I definitely, you know, had fun through my frustrations, because, you know, that's always the best part of art, is just being like, I hate you, but I'm gonna do this. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope to see you guys soon again, and, you know, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you feel like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.